Prison guards, what is the most extreme thing you ever saw happen in your prison? I watched 200 inmates stage a coordinated hunger strike because they thought we were secretly poisoning the meatloaf, all because one guy couldn't admit he'd been faking sick to get out of work detail. It started with Martinez, a guy serving 5 years for armed robbery. He'd been pretending to have stomach problems for weeks to avoid kitchen duty, just didn't want to wash dishes. Every few days, he'd claim severe food poisoning and get sent to medical. They'd give him crackers and soup, he'd rest for a day, then mysteriously recover. The medical staff knew he was faking but couldn't prove it, so they started documenting everything he ate, trying to catch him in a lie. Problem was, Martinez started getting paranoid about all the attention. He figured if medical was tracking his food so closely, something suspicious must be going on. One day in the chow hall, Martinez starts loudly complaining about the meatloaf. This tastes different, he announces. They're putting something in it. Other inmates start paying attention. Prison paranoia spreads faster than wildfire. They've been tracking what I eat, Martinez tells his cellmate. Now they're experimenting on us through the food. His cellmate mentions this to someone else, who tells another guy, and suddenly half the block thinks the guards are conducting secret medical experiments. The story keeps growing. First it's just suspicious meatloaf, then it's systematic poisoning, then it's government mind control experiments. Within 48 hours, inmates are convinced we're drugging the entire food supply to make them compliant. Martinez, who started this whole mess by faking stomach aches, is now the leading expert on what they're doing to us. He's giving presentations in the yard about how to detect poison in your food, teaching guys to smell their meals before eating. 3 days later, I'm working the evening shift when chaos erupts. Inmates are refusing to eat anything from the kitchen. They're demanding outside food inspectors. The hunger strike spreads to every block. Over 200 guys refusing meals, convinced they're being systematically poisoned. They organized everything, appointed spokesmen, drafted demands, even created a rotation schedule so some guys could eat every few days to avoid medical intervention. The warden calls in outside investigators to test the food. Everything comes back clean, obviously, but the inmates don't believe the results. They think we've temporarily stopped the poisoning program until the heat dies down. Martinez has become the hero of the resistance. Inmates are treating him like he exposed some massive conspiracy. Day 5 of the hunger strike, medical staff are forced to start IV fluids on several inmates. The situation's getting dangerous. That's when Martinez finally cracked. He couldn't handle being responsible for guys actually starving themselves. He confesses to his cellmate that he made everything up. He was just trying to avoid work detail and got carried away when people started believing him. His cellmate immediately tells everyone. The revelation spreads through the prison even faster than the original conspiracy theory. Suddenly, 200 angry, hungry inmates realize they've been starving themselves because one guy didn't want to wash dishes. The hunger strike ended, but now Martinez had a different problem. Guys who'd been refusing food for a week wanted to kill him. We had to put him in protective custody for his own safety. He spent the rest of his sentence in isolation because he'd accidentally convinced everyone we were trying to poison them. The irony? During the investigation, medical staff revealed that Martinez had never actually been sick. All those food poisoning incidents were fake. So the guy who exposed the poisoning conspiracy had been lying about being poisoned the entire time. The other inmates felt doubly betrayed. Not only had Martinez started a false conspiracy theory, but he'd been faking illness while they were genuinely suffering. Martinez served his remaining 2 years in solitary confinement, safer for everyone that way. The kitchen staff started posting daily ingredient lists and brought in outside food inspectors weekly to prevent future conspiracy theories. But the damage was done. For months afterward, inmates were suspicious of every meal. Guys would trade food items with each other, convinced that certain batches were experimental. We'd find inmates conducting their own chemical tests on meatloaf using homemade pH strips made from colored paper. The whole incident got written up as a case study in how quickly misinformation spreads in closed institutional environments. Martinez became a legend, but not the kind he'd wanted. He was the guy who started the Great Meatloaf Conspiracy of 2018. When he finally got released, other inmates warned him that his reputation had spread to other facilities, his store.